Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of the Zoology Podcast. On this episode I'm going to be covering a pet peeve of mine, and that pet peeve is that people think black panthers exist. So, do black panthers exist? Yes, but actually no. Let me explain. A panther is simply another word for a big cat within the genus Panthera. This means that technically lions, leopards, tigers, jaguars, and snow leopards are all panthers. So if one of these animals happens to be black in coloration, then you could say that it is a black panther. However, the technically correct answer, and therefore the better answer, is that no, black panthers don't exist. While many people think that black panthers are their own species, I didn't mention them being within the genus Panthera, and they are not in any other genus either. So what is happening here? Well, putting it simply, when someone identifies a black panther, they are mistaking either a melanistic leopard or jaguar for being a third unique species. Actually, if you look closely at either a black leopard or a black jaguar's fur coat, you can still see their famous spots and rosettes showing through the dark coloration. Now, it's not surprising that many people make this species ID mistake. Polar, grizzly and black bears each have white, brown and, unsurprisingly, black fur respectively, and these are all separate species within their own right. So why doesn't this hold for these leopards and jaguars that happen to have black coats? Well, these bears have evolved different coat colours in line with their environment. For example, polar bears have evolved hollow hairs which reflect light, making them appear white, thus allowing them to camouflage into the snowy environment of the Arctic. The way melanistic leopards and jaguars get their dark coat colour is not strictly through the same process of speciation that has resulted in the differences we see in our bear species. Although that's not to say that if a black jaguar only decided to breed with other black jaguars that a speciation event couldn't take place after a very long time in the future. It probably could. But at our current time, we don't have to deal with this, and instead we can look into why exactly some of these individuals get a black coat and why some of their brothers and sisters don't. A melanistic animal simply produces significantly more melanin than the average member of their species. Melanin is the dark pigment that gives dark hair and skin its colour, while a reduced rate of melanin results in much lighter colours such as light browns and blondes. About 11% of wild jaguars and leopards appear to be melanistic, but within leopards this only exists in specific subpopulations, including the African leopard, Javan leopard, Indian leopard, Indonesian leopard and Sri Lankan leopard. Now the interesting thing is that based on camera trap records, melanistic leopards appear to mostly occur in tropical and subtropical moist broadleaf forests, or in other words, forests where light levels are low. This means having large amounts of melanin present in the fur could give a survival advantage within these low light environments, where being darker in colour would make it more difficult for the prey to spot the predator. This is known as adaptive melanism. However, the lack melanistic varieties in subspecies like the Amur leopard of Russia's far northeast, or of those leopards that would hunt around the savannas of Africa, means that being heavily melanized in these environments is likely to be a survival disadvantage, as the individual would stand out against the white Russian snow or the golden hues of the savanna's grasslands. Now, the jaguar population also having 11% of their individuals being melanistic is interesting, because of the way that each of these species became so heavily melanized is different. In jaguars, melanism is caused by deletions in the melanocortin-1 receptor gene and is conferred by a dominant allele. This means that if two black jaguars have a cub, the cub will normally be melanistic, while if a melanistic jaguar breeds with a normal spotted jaguar, then the chance of the cub being melanistic is 50% if the melanistic parent only has one dominant dark gene. But if it has two dominant dark genes, then the chance that the offspring will be melanistic is again 100%, as long as no pesky genetic mutations occur. Now things in leopards are basically the opposite. Melanism is inherited through a Mendelian mechanic, in which the trait is conferred by a recessive allele. This means that a leopard needs to have two copies of the melanistic gene for the individual to exhibit significant melanin production. For example, if two normal spotted leopards have a cub, and one of these has a melanism gene, then none of the offspring will be melanistic, with only 50% chance that the cub will even inherit the melanistic mutation at all. This means that leopard populations over time are easily able to lose the ability to produce melanistic individuals due to genetic drift. However, if both parents have a melanistic gene, then the chance that their offspring will be melanistic is only 1 in 4. This increases to 50% if one parent is melanistic and the other is a carrier, and again increases to 100% if both adult leopards are melanistic, as long as no weird genetic mutations occur. So from these examples we can see that the melanistic mutation has a much greater ability to express itself within the jaguar population, but can sneakily express itself within leopards, despite many generations of no black individuals occurring. Kind of like how human families can go generations with just black, brown or blonde haired individuals, and suddenly from nowhere a baby with red hair is born. The ability to produce darkly coloured individuals could be both a blessing and a curse depending on the selection pressure produced by the environment. If a population finds itself reliably within a dark forest, it might benefit from being able to constantly produce darkly coloured individuals, and this would be a strength to the jaguars, due to their dominant genes. However, if the environment changes or the population moves, then having a recessive gene like those found in leopards might be more advantageous, because it means that when a change happens, less of your population is likely to be selected against, and therefore less will die off. However, this comes at the restriction of being able to as quickly take advantage of habitats that become darker as time progresses. This might be why both jaguars and leopard populations have similar levels of melanistic individuals present, despite the differences in how each species acquired the ability to produce excessive melanin. I would therefore theorise that if the jungles of South America are able to recover and restore their foliage density, then perhaps the amount of melanistic jaguars present would increase dramatically. However, this increase might not be seen in leopards, even if a similar habitat restoration takes place, due to the findings of Pav Robinson in 1970. Pav found that melanistic leopards have significantly smaller litter sizes, which could be due to greater amounts of interbreeding, which obviously would be more necessary to constantly produce melanistic offspring. Or perhaps it is because darkly coloured offspring might be more prone to prenatal loss than their spotted brothers, but overall more research is needed on this topic. So yeah, now we can say with confidence that black panthers do kinda not exist, but also that black leopards and black jaguars totally do, and that they gained their dark powers from two different genetic happenstances, which I think is pretty cool. But only time will tell how it works out for them in the long run. Will the dominant genes of the black jaguar eventually go on to produce a true black panther species in the future? Or will the recessive genes of the leopard give them a survival advantage in an ever-changing world?